Welcome to another reading by Smergal. Today, Chapter 7, The Journey to the Great OZ. I know it's been a while. Smergal's been a bit busy. You know, all the chaos has been happening. The orcs, the trolls, and I think there's a few goblins too. Yeah, they're kind of on the move. I don't know what they're doing, but they've just been going back and forth. I guess they're just bored. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off. They were obliged to camp out that night under a large tree in the forest, for there were no houses near. The tree made a good, thick covering to protect them from the dew. Okay, there's a little bit too much detail about the tree. No one really cares about the tree. And the Tin Woodman chopped a great pile of wood with his axe, and Dorothy built a splendid fire that warmed her and made her feel less lonely. And for once, the Tin Woodman did not chop off a limb, because that would have been actually pretty funny. She and Toto ate the last of their bread, and now she did not know what they were going to do for breakfast. Would do, sorry. If you wish, said the lion, I will go into the forest and kill a deer for you. You can roast it by the fire, since your tastes are so particular that you prefer cooked food, and then you will have a very good breakfast. Oh, how nice. Seems like cowardly lion if he's going after deer. Those things are tough. I'll tell you what, I went after one of those deer, and it didn't end very well. Kind of fell off a cliff. 50 feet. It hurt. Don't! Please don't! Begged the Tin Woodman. I shall certainly weep if you kill a poor deer. And then my jaws will rust again. Are you vegan? Shut up. But the lion went away into the forest and found his own supper. And no one ever knew what it was, for he didn't mention it. And the Scarecrow found a tree full of nuts and filled Dorothy's basket with them, so that she would not be hungry for a long time. Man, that's once again, the Scarecrow's used to his head. That's actually pretty smart. If the Tin Woodman doesn't want anything killed, just fill it with nuts. That's always good. She thought this was very kind and thoughtful of the Scarecrow, but she laughed heartily at the awkward way that the poor creature picked up the nuts. His padded hands were so clumsy, and the nuts were so small that he dropped as many as he put in the basket. But the Scarecrow did not mind how long it took him to fill the basket, for it enabled him to keep away from the fire, as he feared a spark might get into his straw and burn him up. Yeah, that's a big concern. So he kept a good distance away from the flames, and only came near to cover Dorothy with dry leaves when she laid down to sleep. Man, this guy's really useful. You know, he may not be the best fighter, but he's like that guy that can do like everything for you. I like this guy. These kept her very snug and warm, and she slept soundly until morning. When it was daylight, the girl bathed her face in a low rippling brook as soon as they all started towards the Emerald City. This was to be an eventful day for the travelers. They have hardly been walking for an hour when they saw before them a great ditch that crossed the road and divided the forest as far as they could see on either side. It was a very wide ditch, and when they crept up to the edge, they looked into it, and they could see that it was also very deep. And there were many big jagged rocks at the bottom. The sides were so steep that none of them could climb down. And for a moment, it seemed that their journey must end. Oh, well, that was a good book. Wait, there's more. What shall we do? Asked Dorothy, despairingly. I haven't had the faintest idea, said the Tin Woodman, and the lion shook his shaggy mane and looked thoughtful, but the Scarecrow said, we cannot fly, that is certain. Neither we can climb down to the great ditch. Therefore, if we cannot jump over it, we must stop where we are. I think I could jump over it, said the Cowardly Lion, after measuring the distance carefully in his mind. Man. You know, I know if I saw that, I would be like, no. But this guy's pretty brave. You know, the only things that they're missing, they have. They don't even need to go to OZ. They Dorothy didn't really like Kansas either. Just stay there. You have a bunch of friends. Then we are all right, answered the Scarecrow. For you can carry us all over on your back, one at a time. I think there's a little problem with the Tin Redman. He's a little heavy. Well, I'll try it, said the Lion. Who will go first? I will, declared the Scarecrow. For if you found that you could not jump over the gulf, Dorothy would be killed, or the Tin Woodman badly dented to the rocks below. But if I am on your back, it would not matter as much, for the fall would not hurt me at all. However, you'll probably die. So, yeah. You're the new guy. You're the most expendable. I am terribly afraid of falling myself, said the Cowardly Lion. Okay, I'm trying to do this new voice. But I suppose there's nothing to do but to try it. So get on my back, and we will make the attempt, because I'm a coward. Despite being brave. The Scarecrow sat upon the lion's back, and the big beast rushed to the edge of the gulf and crouched down. Why don't you run and jump? Asked the Scarecrow, being smart. Because that is the way we lions do things, he replied. Then, giving a great spring, he shot through the air and landed safely on the other side. They were all pleased to see how easily he did it, and the Scarecrow got down from his back, and the lion sprang across the ditch again. Man, that's a big sentence. Dorothy thought she would go next, so she took Toto in arms and climbed upon the lion's back, holding tightly to his mane with one hand. The next moment, it seemed like she was flying through the air, and then falling. No, I'm just kidding. And then, before she had time to think about it, she was safe on the other side. The lion went back a third time and got the Tin Woodman. However, they all fell to the death. The end. Okay, real thing. And then they all sat down for a few moments and gave the beast a chance to rest. For his great leaps had made his breath short, and he panted like a big dog that has been running too long. Yeah, I suppose that would probably make a little bit of an issue. They found the forest very thick on this side, and it looked dark and gloomy. After the lion had rested, they started along the road of the yellow brick, silently wondering, each in his own mind, if they were ever turn page. Come to the end of the woods and reached the bright sunshine again. To add to the discomfort, they soon heard strange noises in the depths of the forest, and the lion whispered to them, in this part of the country where the... Okay, I have no idea what that word is. Kalitas lived. Sounds like some kind of delicious food. Kalita. Kalita? What are the Kalitas? Well, it sort of look like something from a movie where someone tried to pull someone's heart out. Asked the girl. They are monstrous beasts with bodies like bears and heads like tigers, replied the lion. Our claws so large and sharp they could tear me in two easily, as I could kill Toto. Also, you're always wondering why Toto's missing, right? I'm terribly afraid of the Kalitas. I am not surprised at your return, Dorothy. They must be dreadful beasts. The lion was about to reply soundly when it came to another gulf across the road, but this one was so broad and deep that the lion knew at once he could not leap across it. So he sat down and considered what they should do. After serious thought, the Scarecrow said, "Here is a great tree, standing close to the ditch. If the Tin Woodman can chop it down, they would easily fall to the other side. We can walk across it easily." Smart guy. No, seriously, that's actually pretty good. Here, Smergal wants this. Hey, I want a Scarecrow. Can I get this guy? Do I have materials for it? Fish guts, rocks, wall, whatever this is. Yeah, you know, wherever this thing is, the orange thing that's like there. Camera. I don't think I can make one. I guess I gotta raid the orc base later. Okay, no, back to where was I? There we go. The woodman set to work at once, and so sharp was his axe that the tree was soon chopped nearly through. And he didn't even chop his limbs off again, because I'm kind of expecting him to do that. Then the lion put his strong front legs against the tree and pushed it with all his might. And slowly the tree tipped and fell and crashed across the ditch with the top branches on the other side. Oh, sorry, fish. Then it just started to cross this bridge when a sharp growl made them look up, and to their horror they saw, running towards them, the great beast with bodies like bears and heads like tigers. "They are the Kalidas," said the cowardly lion, beginning to tremble. "Quick!" cried the scarecrow. "Let us cross over!" So Dorothy went first, holding Toto in his arms. The Tin Woodman followed, and the scarecrow came next. The lion, although he was certainly afraid, turned to face the Kalidas. And then he gave a loud and terrible roar that Dorothy screamed, and the scarecrow fell over backwards. Well, even the fierce beast stopped short and looked at him in surprise. Mostly going like, seriously? But seeing that they're bigger than the lion, and remembering that there were two of them because they can count, and only one of him, the Kalidas, again rushed forward, and the lion crossed over the tree and turned to see what they would do next. Without stopping an instant, the fierce beast also began to cross the tree, and the lion said to Dorothy, "We are lost, for they will certainly tear us to pieces with their sharp claws. But stand close behind me. I will fight them as long as I am alive." God, you're so brave. "Wait a minute," called the scarecrow. He had been thinking what was the best to be done, and he asked the woodman to chop away the end of the tree that rested on the side of the ditch. The Tin Woodman began using his axe at once, and just as the two Kalitas were nearing across, the tree fell as it crashed into the gulf, carrying the ugly starry roots with it, and both dashed to pieces on the sharp rocks at the bottom. Oh my God! This is a kid's book, right? Dashed to pieces? This just went from G to R-rated very quickly. "Well," said Carly Ryan, drawing a long breath of release, "I see we're going to live a little while longer. I'm grateful of it, for it must be the very uncomfortable thing not to be alive." Also, I basically stopped commenting now that the Scarecrow's smart, because at this point I'm just assuming anything he does is smart, because that's what he's been doing. Yeah, that's a nice picture. "Those creatures frighten me so badly that my heart is beating." "Ah," said the Tin Woodman sadly. "I wish I had a heart to beat. Instead, I'll just cry whenever something dies. They die, they get torn to pieces." Okay, enough of that. This eventually made the travelers more anxious than ever to get out of the forest, and they walked so fast that Dorothy became tired, and had to ride on the lion's back. To their great joy, the trees became thinner and farther they advanced, and in the afternoon they suddenly came across a broad river, flowing swiftly just before them. On the other side of the water they could see the road of yellow brick running through the beautiful country, with green meadows dotted with the bright flowers, and all the road bordered with trees hanging from delicious fruits. Delicious trees and maybe fruits. Fruits are good. They go well. They were greatly pleased to see the delightful country before them. "How shall we cross the river?" asked Dorothy. "That is easily done," replied Scarecrow. "The Tin Woodman must build us a raft so we can float to the other side. Here, while we were walking, I made a bunch of blueprints and other things too. I also killed cancer." So the woodman took his axe and began chopping down small trees to make a raft, and while he was busy, the Scarecrow found on the riverbank a tree full of fine fruit. This pleased Dorothy, who had eaten nothing but nuts all day, and she made a hearty meal of the ripe fruit. But it takes time to make a raft, and even when one of the industrious and untiring asked the Tin Woodman, and when night came, the work was not done, so they found a cozy place under the tree, and where they slept well until morning. and Dorothy dreamed of the Emerald City and the good wizard OZ, who would soon send her back to her own home again. But why? Well, I don't know. This is actually... I don't know. It's between the dullness of Kansas and this. I would rather stay here. This is much better. Like an adventure. Okay. So, there is chapter 7. It was actually a pretty exciting chapter. I liked it. And the next one is chapter 8. What drugs do to you? So if you like this, definitely leave a comment. I like comments. And until next time, this is Smergal.